100,000 people will be displaced, and the global climate crisis aggravated by the TotalEnergies oil pipeline project in the east of Africa. This is according to a report by Human Rights Watch. Over 90 interviews were conducted, which include 75 displaced families in 5 districts of Uganda. Now, Human Rights Watch Uganda researcher is Oryem Nyeko, who joins us now to chat more about this. He talks to us from Accra, Ghana this morning. Oryem, good morning to you, and thank you very much for your time. Let's link the global climate crisis that is likely to be aggravated by this TotalEnergies pipeline project. Connect the two for us.
So basically what's happening right now is that the pipeline, a heated gas pipeline, is at the very early stages of construction between western Uganda and the coast of Tanzania. The objective obviously is to transport oil from the oil fields in the western part of Uganda for export. The problem with this is that it's having a devastating impact on the lives of hundreds of thousands of people who are going to be displaced by the construction of this pipeline. The way in which the companies involved in constructing this pipeline have compensated or not compensated the people living in those areas has really had a huge impact on the livelihoods of people living there.
Yeah, and these people hugely dependent on the land from which they are being displaced. Just put us in the picture as to how it came about that they are now ultimately being displaced, and where are they going to go, by the way?
So the way it's working is that the company, TotalEnergies, that the primary shareholder in the East African crude oil pipeline, is compensating people to move to any other location. There's no specific location that they're required to move to. And they are giving them money. The problem is not that they are giving them money, it's that the money is too little, and oftentimes they are not given an option. Ideally, in these circumstances, people should be given an option whether they can be given commensurate land in a location or be given the option of money. They are only given the option of money, and we also found that the people who have been compensated really weren't given a choice. They were essentially forced to sign these agreements because they were in English, which is a language many people in the region don't speak.
Yeah.
So it's a huge challenge for those people.
How is it, Oryem, that the people who are being displaced and as a result of this, or as a result of what they thought would become something of a money spinner for them, but as it turns out, they are given too little monies for their families to survive? How is it that they are negotiating directly with the company? Is it not the government that is supposed to be the middleman, so to speak?
Well, that's the challenge, is that the government, these companies that are involved, there's not just one, there's multiple companies, but as I mentioned, Total is the main shareholder, are all part and parcel of this process and have a vested interest in seeing that the East African crude oil pipeline goes through. And so the consequence of that is that the agreements that come forward, that the community members sign, tend to skew in favor of the government, because the government and the shareholders, rather, the people who are interested in this pipeline, all have the power is skewed in their favor, which is why it's very important to speak out about what's taking place and why many of these community members have been actively campaigning against the pipeline in both Uganda and Tanzania.
And that's where perhaps the conversation ought to go. What responsibility is the government of Uganda willing to take for what is happening to its people?
So right now, I mean, the bulk of the people who are going to be displaced have already been received some level of compensation. As I said, it's not adequate. And the responsibility, both of the Ugandan government and on those companies as well, is to up and pay those people the requisite amount, the amount of money that they are supposed to be paid. They've suffered a lot of hardships. People are not able to send their children to school because they simply don't have enough money. The money that they were given wasn't enough to buy the same amount of land or to build homes. So many people have gone into debt. So the responsibility on the government and the companies, as I said, is to restore the livelihoods of people to what it was before, even better, which they haven't done. And that's what we are calling on them to do.
All right. And perhaps where are those efforts then to try and fight for what is rightfully or what rightfully belongs to the people who have suffered these consequences? I mean, 75 displaced families, that's a lot of people.
It is a lot of people, and as I said, many of them are actively campaigning against this. There have been a handful of lawsuits that have taken place on behalf of the people who have been affected by this project. Groups like ours are also actively advocating for the government and the companies to take the steps that they're supposed to take. And the onus now is really on those bodies, the government and the companies, to do what they're supposed to do.
Oryem, Nyeko, let me thank you very much for your time. Human Rights Watch Uganda researcher talking to us there from Accra, Ghana.